Hey, Connie.
Hey, glad to
Hey.
be back.
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad to be here as well. I'm excited about this one because this is going to be like our actual bringing up an actual form and bringing all those elements that we've been learning it like together into this one element. So I'm looking forward to this.
Yep,
So
to
yeah.
see what you remember, right?
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully I'll remember quite a bit, but we'll see. All right. So if I share my screen over here, share screen, and then this one. Right. So we have the responsive web design. So yeah, I just was reviewing a little bit before certain things, but as we can see, this is all the stuff that we've been doing so far in our lessons. So now we're going to do the survey form, and we're going to build the survey form. So they got a lot of user stories. You have yeah, when you work like in development, this is kind of like an agile methodology. You have like user stories where you will be asked to contribute an element. So I mean, if you want to dive a little bit more into that, Connie, I'll try
Sure.
and work on these.
Absolutely. So a user story usually is in this certain kind of form where you say, as a certain kind of actor, I want to do a certain thing so that this other result can happen. So as a something, I want to do this so that this other thing can happen. And that's called a user story. Those are usually on cards. And they're basically the piece of the unit of work that a developer will pick up on a daily basis or so forth to work on during a sprint. And a sprint is another thing. We can get into what is Scrum later, maybe. I don't know if it's addressed in the free code camp stuff, but it's definitely something that you will learn when you work on an Adapt Labs product team. It's something that we really focus on is learning Scrum and actually the process of a development with a team. So you have basically what we would call, this might be a user story, the whole thing here, but what they've said is that each one of these instructions is actually a user story or a piece of the story. So stories, a bunch of stories together is called an epic. So we could call this an epic, although it's a very tiny epic because we're going to get it done here, I think, within our 2 hours for sure. And epics usually take several sprints to complete. So if you're interested in learning about Scrum or Kanban, another methodology for working on software engineering projects, then you can participate in the Adapt Labs and totally learn and apply what you're learning through this program here. So did that answer any clarify anything, or did I leave something out?
I think I'm quite good on that front. So like if you again you have agile, Kanban, different types of methodologies. So you might have an epic, a feature, a user story. That's kind of like how I'm like used to. So for example, when you see over here user stories, in a sense, like for example, you would have tasks underneath that. That's kind of like but yeah, in terms of like covering that topic, yeah, Adapt Labs is there as well. I don't know if I'm gonna necessarily cover Agile on my channel, although it is a piece of work that I usually am part of. I whenever I do like any type of DevOps work, I always like work in an agile kind of manner. So maybe one of these days I'll cover it, but we'll see. If you want to, let me know.
Yeah, absolutely. And there is one other thing that I will mention here. These are more like what we see here. This list of things is more like acceptance criteria. And acceptance criteria is, if you scroll down here on the screen, you'll see some, I think it's down there. Yeah, see these tests down here? So when we run this, it's going to run like all the other ones, but it'll run all of the tests to see if your code, what you wrote, has met the acceptance criteria. So if this whole thing was one user story, like let's say as a website owner, I want to create a survey form so that I can get information from my users. That would be one story. And then your acceptance criteria would be your step 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. on there. That then when you think you're done, your definition of done or what have you, then you would come back and say, did we meet these does it do these different things and meet the acceptance criteria? So I think maybe that kind of matches the scenario a little bit more than each of those line items being an actual user story, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I would have put this as a user story per se, and those things as tasks. That's how I put it. Just like a couple of different tasks that you have to do. So that's kind of like that element.
Yeah.
Let's try and get
all right.
started.
Let's roll.
So the first thing I need to do, they say you should have a page title in a H1 element of an ID of title. So I'm going to go into H1. Of course, I need to do the doc type HTML first, but
yeah, and I just want to mention too for the audience, anybody else who's joining just now, that I'm not going to say anything if I notice something is wrong or anything. I'm going to let you just go through this whole process and do that unless you really need me, which I don't think you will, but here for moral support mostly today.
Yeah. Okay. So let's see. So with an ID of title. So let's see. Page. Trying to remember. So you should have a page title and a H1 element with an ID of title of description. So they mention ID. So this is why I'm trying to remember what ID was. It could be in a style CSS or with an ID of title. So unless they're talking about the CSS stuff, but in a PM of an ID of description, we should have a form element of an ID of server form. So the form element you're required to integrate as how it. I'm just going through all of them and having a look, but yeah, I think it's meant to be done from one to the next. So so let's try the first one. You should have an H1 element of an ID of title. So does that mean one of the things I might need to do is I might need to also just have a look through previous as well. I know this is kind of like but I always, if I need to figure out something, I always have a look previously of what I might have done. So if I quickly just look through here, and then when I did, for example, I don't know, CSS colors, they say H1 element here, doc type, H1 div class, and let's see, but they have title over here. So but yeah, that ID is beginning to confuse me, but I'm trying to. I think they mean div.
Maybe look at the form one, because you're in the CSS example that you did. Maybe check out the one that builds a form, like the cafe. Well, let's see. Is that?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And go to your index HTML document. Yeah.
And so yeah, I obviously need to have this, but they say title. Well, I'm looking at the where, and if I look at style CSS. Well, yeah, but that's just CSS if I need to. So you should have a page title in an H1 element. So basically, when they say let's just build it out. So and let's also get the doc type HTML going. Doc type just make sure that's fine. And then if I did h1 title ID of title. Yeah, I'm trying to, let's have a look at my previous, yeah, because we worked on the forms before, right?
Yeah, but I don't think that any of our H1s had any IDs. This is a new thing, I think.
I think they mean the div containers. That's what I think. But let me just have a look, because I think in one of them we did that. I think it was like a little bit a while ago, but it was let me see. It was over here. Yeah, I think maybe we didn't have anything for that, but I do think it's you know, we're going supposed to use so let me just have a look through the previous lessons and let me see about, go through a little bit more on the index HTML. So
see, for example, that H1 doesn't have an ID on it, but you can put IDs on headers, H1s, H2s.
Yeah. I'm just trying to remember the terms of ID. What? Yeah, I think it's used div, but I'm trying to remember where we did use div in. I think it was here. Was it? No, I think it was one of our previous ones. I think it was actually here, or the color markers. So. Yeah, they have an example over here, I believe, as well. So they say functionality that's similar over here. So this is the one. So if I did this, and I looked at the elements. Yeah, that's it. I use classes. That's it.
So they have an ID equals, yeah. So
yeah, it's just to nest ID equals title. That's what they want at the beginning. So if I just do h1 ID title, and then h1.
yeah, and something else about this is that they're not going to tell you like the actual specific wording to put in there. They really don't care about that. So if they don't tell you, then you can put whatever you want in there and make it your own kind of thing.
I think so. So if I did, I think that's fine. If I, and then I, for example, under here, put free code camp Andrei. Why not? and then we will put that forward. So if I'm just going to check my code.
Good.
And then I'm going to see if, yeah, so now my title should not be empty, and you should have an H1 element with an ID of title. Great, I did that. Right. Yeah, some things you just need to figure out by yourself. So you should have a P element with an ID of description. Okay, so underneath that, I'm going to have a P element, and then it's basically copying the same terminology, and then I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to call description. This is my survey form, I guess. Very, very dull, but it will work for now. So again, running my code again. So I have fulfilled 1, 2, 3, 4 criteria. Well, I think so anyway. So you should have. So we're happy with this H1 element with an ID of title. You should have a short explanation and a P element with an ID of description. Done. You should have a form element with an ID of survey form. So let's just again build out the elements, and then I guess we might need to nest them later. So let's just build them out for now, which will be survey dash form, and then inside the form element, you are required to enter your name in an input field that has an ID of name and a type of text. So I remember we worked on input before. I'm not going to always use this. I think we used it here. So we had field sets, labels, and inputs. But for now, is it in one of these? Do they want you to be using like field sets, labels, and inputs, or is it just what they say?
It's just what they say. They're just going to check for the things. You can probably add the different things if you want, but it'll pass if it meets the criteria that they say. I don't think they check for that you don't have additional things. They just check, does it have the things?
Okay. All right. Well, let's do this. So in the form, we're gonna write. I just want to look. Yes. So if I had a label and I had an input, so but the label, yeah, labels here, and then that would be what it is, and then input type number equals age and stuff like that. So essentially, we just need input, and then that has an ID equals name, then type equals text, and then we shall put this, and then we'll put form, and let's just see if this has satisfied that criteria. So it has. Your hashtag name should have a type of text. Okay, your name should require input. So I mean, I guess if it's, let's have a look at insert. You are required to enter. So insert your. Oh, okay. So yeah, okay, yeah. So if I have this, that means if I just write required, that will that should satisfy that criteria. Yeah, so it should require input. Your name should be descendant of the survey form. That is good. Okay, so next section we will do. If you inside the form element, you are required to enter your email in an input field that has an ID of email. So inside the form element, we can do another input, I think. And then we will put ID equals where's the email? And then we will put to required. Sorry, and then we'll put type. I think you can put type and you can put email if I remember correctly. Maybe I'm not right. And we will put, if you enter an email that is not format, you will see that you're required is definitely, but whether that will be that, and I think I might need to close off input as well. No, yeah, input is self-closing, isn't it? So, but they say input your age, and then we did the slash like that, right? So we had input and then this. So label will be this and label will be that. So inside here, we will do close that off. Yeah, that's not what we want. We probably want two forms. In fact, I would have put forms as, actually, that looks all right. But I think I do need to have a slash over here and a slash over here. Let me just run tests. So your email should be a descendant. So you should have an input of element with an ID of email. Your email should have a type of email. Your email should require input. Your email should be a descendant of survey form. Oh, wait, is it because I have the form here? Why do I have the form here? Try that, but yeah. Yeah, that has satisfied the criteria for now. But of course, yeah, this is not good right now. Yeah, that's why you probably have labels to actually say, you know, and field sets to basically have it up and down. So I will, let me see how, oh, it does say labels. Okay, cool. So it does ask you for it afterwards. Okay, fine. So if you enter an email that is not formatted correctly, you'll see. So I think that's fine. We have satisfied this criteria, this criteria. Inside the form, you can enter a number in an input field that has an ID of number. So I believe I'm here. So you should have an input element with an ID of number. So again, we're working through this. Are you having fun, Connie?
Oh, this is great fun. Yeah, I'm taking notes over here a little bit just to some pointers after you're done, but I'm not going to chime in. You're doing well. Keep going.
Yeah, that's fine. Input. So part of the process. So that's fine. Let me just run the test again. So you should have an input with an ID of number. So input ID equals number, and inside the form you can enter a number in an input field that has an ID of number. Yes. if you enter non-numbers in there, so that's again type equals number, and then you can, inside the form, you can enter a number in an input field that has an ID of number. So that should satisfy that criteria. Your number should have a min attribute of a numeric value, and your number should have a max attribute of a, yeah, the one thing which I gotta say so far on these tests is like, I don't like the way they say hashtag, so that implies I need to use style CSS, and I should be using classes, but for now I will work through it because it accepts it, but I don't think it's right. So we'll go ahead and fix this, I think, afterwards. But regarding, anyway, where I am, so if you enter none, which we did, so if you enter numbers outside the range of the numbers input which find, you will see an HTML validation error. So I could write it here, min equals, I guess, 1 and max equals 5, I guess. Let me just try that. So that's done. So now you should have a label element with an ID of name label. So maybe I should go through these first. If you enter no numbers in the input, yep, that's fine. If you, yep, for the name, email, and number input fields, you can see corresponding label elements in the form that describe the purpose of each field with the following: ID equals name label, ID equals. So basically, as we've noted, so for each one of these, I now need to make a label. So in these labels, I have to write, and then I will finish off this as a label.
How's your readability on this? There, they're not going to test you on that, so I'm going to throw that out there. Just
for now, it's okay. I mean, I understand. Like, I see where my inputs are, but I get what you mean. Like, I could put it like this, and I could put it like just so I see where I am. I kind of can read it right now, but yeah, I guess maybe for the general audience, I can do that. So yeah, so we can just space things out again a little bit. So we have the form, the input, the label. So we have this as a label, and then we'll have this as a label. Oh, and so email dash label. And of course, yeah, I understand this is OMS on the right, and I'm hoping I will sort this out in a sec. So then it will be, this will be name, following IDs equals, it needs IDs. ID equals name dash label. Let me just start for now because I'm not sure if it's there. I'll put label. And then over here again, I'll put label. Over here, I'll put label. ID equals Okay, so we have all of this. So let's just check, but I'm afraid sure. So we're missing email label. Why are we missing an email label? You should. Oh, right, because I write email like that. Email label. That's fine. So your email label should contain text that describes the input. So either email, yes, and then so I've done this. I've done the numbers. I've done the labels for the name, email, and number input fields. You can see placeholder text that gives a description or instructions for each field. So we will put email, we'll put name, and we will put what is it? Yeah, number. Inside the form element, you should have a select drop-down element. So that should be. Yeah, I'm not quite happy with this. I'll look into it in a sec. I just want to satisfy slightly criteria. In the form of inside the form element, you should have a select drop-down element with an ID of drop-down and at least 2 options to choose from. So ID equals and then let's have a look at the select elements that we may have used. So basically, this is what we've done before. We use field sets, type radio class equals inline kind of type password, type email required, enter your email, enter your neighbor, creating your password. Set. But what am I looking for? I'm looking for. You should have us. There's a checkbox, but was that? This was a checkbox. Select one. How did you hear about us? That was. Yes, label. Yeah, we need to do a label, and then we need to select, and then we need to give it an option. So let's just do another label. We'll put ID equals drop down. It did it automatically. Because I've been doing these and they just say ID is this. So I'm like, okay, so you should. Oh, and I did it in the wrong place anyway. So select ID equals drop down, and then I will choose option. Try. Yeah, I need to. Yeah, I'll fix that. So label ID equals drop down, and then option push option value equals value, and then some text. So what does this say? Is it within it? Yeah, it is value, and then, but I don't think I need value at the moment. Oh no, you can select. Let's just say value equals. Oh, not selected, and we'll do. Value equals this start from 0, 1, 1. So they say select 1, right? So so the first one is blank, and then the next one is we'll just put the placeholder text to say selected, select 1, and then kind of is it self-closing? No, it's not. Okay, option value 1, and then we'll put what am I selecting? How am I choosing for what? Yes and no, I guess, for a different question. Yeah, you're having a lot of fun, aren't you, Connie?
Yeah,
We'll
it's good.
I'll
I'm biting my tongue here. It's good though.
I'll put you through a different one later on. You're
doing great. Yay, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to correct it at every point. They people will eventually figure this stuff out. You just have to wait sometimes a little bit.
Yeah.
So we have yes and no. So select one. So this works, and I have a yes and no. Great. Okay, so in that, let's just run tests. See what they have. Yeah, not bad so far, but obviously nowhere near as impressive as what they've built in their survey form like this. But we'll get there. We'll try and get something going like this. So your name should have a placeholder attribute and value. So when they mean placeholder. Oh, yes. Placeholder means basically that there'll be some text over here to say, enter your name, for example. Yeah. So there's that. So, but let's just have a read through. Because I keep reading the unit test rather than the actual user story. So that's probably,
They're very similar.
Yeah. I think sometimes it's just like, because with the user stories, you might not like with the test, you know exactly what you're going for.
That's such a key point. If I could just take a moment to speak to that, test-driven development. When you have the test, you know exactly what you're going for, which is why you want to learn test-driven development as soon as possible. And I think there's a unit on that in Free Code Camp. We're going to address that, but that is exactly the point. When you have the test, you know exactly what you're trying to accomplish. The better your test, the better your result will be. So, yeah. Good point.
So, and where we are. So, we've done this. We've done you can see, so I've done this bit. So for the name, email, and number input fields, you can see placeholder text that gives a description of instructions for each field. So in here, how do we do placeholder text? Let's see. I don't think we did it in this one, or we might have during one of the lessons, but I'm trying to see, because I'm pretty sure we, oh yes, we did on a provider bio. So provider bio. So yeah, it should just be placeholder equals and within a section. So, but I'm not sure whether they want me to do it. Let's just see what. One of the things I like doing is just to try, and then eventually, once you try the very base core, then you can actually expand that out. So placeholder equals, I don't know, I'll put name or enter. I'll just write enter your name. E.g. Andrei. If this is that's quite too long, but we'll just do that. I don't know. Creativity is a fun thing, but not push. Let's see. So we'll just do the same kind of thing concept over here. So placeholder equals that. Enter your number. I don't know. Placeholder equals ID, I guess. Yeah, that should be fine. Right, so if I run this test, they're happy with mostly quite a few things, so that's good. So just some few more sections. So you can see placeholder text that gives a description and instructions for each field. Yep, inside the form element, you should have a select drop-down element with an ID of drop-down. And that's, I've done that inside the form. Inside the form element, you can select an option from a group of at least 2 radio buttons that are grouped using the name button. Yes, we did that before. And inside the form element, you select an option from a group of at least 2 radio buttons that are grouped using the name button. Yes, over here, we did like name for the input. So over inside, I'm just inside user. Right, so they want me to create 2 new radio buttons. So that's fine. So we will create some more. So we'll close this label, and then we will go for another label. We'll call it Radio 1 and Radio 2. UK viewers will get the joke. Basically, that's that's one of our like radio stations, Radio 1, Radio 2, and stuff like that. So let me see what we have. So and then we will put input, and we will put ID because I'll just carry on the theme of. Yeah, that's cool. Let's try and be consistent with this. So Radio 1 label, and I'll put input ID Radio 1, and then I'll put type equals. That's radio? Is it radio? Yeah, it is. I've got this. And then I will put name equals. Oh, name equals I'll call it radio. And I will push this here. Fine, and then I'll close off the input. I'll close off the label. Take all of this, copy, paste, and push radio 2, but I have the name to be the same because that what should allow me to, like we did over here, we called it type equals radio input label. Oh, sorry, not here. Where did we do it? We did. I think that's, yeah, we did the same thing, but where do we have the name? So, see if this will work. I'm not sure if it will. Oh, all your radio buttons should have a value attribute and value. So over here, print value. Yeah, would that work? Right, hold on. Maybe I'm missing a trick. Inside the form element, you can select at least 2 radio buttons are grouped using the name button in name attribute. Inside the form element, you can select several fields from a series of checkboxes, each which must have a value attribute. So inside the form element, you can select. Let's try test once more. So you should have at least 2. So all your radio buttons should have a value attribute and value. Name attribute. I suppose I could put it, but if I guess we can just do that. Value equals 1 and value. No. Yeah, I thought that wasn't going to be the case. I'm pretty sure it's under the. I need unless I've used value already, so maybe it's because I used the value already. Let's see. Trying to figure out these radio buttons. Because I was here where we did that. So we had a field set, and then we had a label, and then we had a type, which is input.
Those don't have values.
Yeah, I know.
So,
I mean, these have values.
yes, those
Yeah,
have
they
values.
do. While I tried that on both of the.
You did not actually. You thought you did, but.
All right, hold on. Let's see. So we did. I'm pretty sure I've tried putting.
You didn't actually. Yeah. You didn't actually try it there.
I did.
You started to.
I'm pretty sure I did.
Okay, well, let's just try it again.
Okay, so value equals to, right. Oh my god, yeah, that's just, yeah. I had this thing, I just didn't really put it
I think you had your values in your labels.
Yeah, the thing is, I started off putting it here, and then I think I tried to run test, or I didn't press run test correctly, and I guess that's. But
I see.
That's basically if you rewatch the video, I first tried to do the value equals 1 over here, and then for some reason or the other, it didn't work. So I then went back to here. So I'll definitely watch a video and have a look at exactly what happened over there.
All right. So you had it right then the first time, at least.
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
So, but well, we'll see what happened. What I actually did. Maybe I screwed up one of the where it's meant to be, but
yeah, or had one right and the other one wasn't in the right place. I didn't remember that.
Yeah.
All right.
Almost there.
Rock on, yeah.
Actually, make this a little bit nicer because it looks like they're basically giving you free reign to make it own. So I think we'll work on that after I do all these code tests. Yeah. So you should have at least 2 input elements with a type of checkbox descendants of the server form. So essentially, checkbox, which is this terms, and again 2. You should inside the form inside the form element you're presented with a text error for additional comments. Okay, I'm just gonna use this, and I'm just gonna copy paste this, and I'm gonna do some other things. So what we need inside the form element you can select several fields from a series of checkboxes. From a series. So kind of the same concept, I think, but at the same time not, because you shouldn't have the name to be the same. Because if you have the same name, then it's only gonna allow you one checkbox rather than multiple checkboxes. And then once you do select multiple checkboxes, so therefore we should not have the name. Or we could have the name, but it has to be a different. So, for example, I guess if you were going to have certain checkboxes, which like if you check this box and you check this box, you can't. You have to, and then you have a combination, I guess. But for now, we're just going to do this. So we're going to call this checkbox 1 and call this checkbox 2. We're going to put the input ID to be again checkbox 2 and checkbox 1. We're going to put the type to be checkbox. I think we can leave value as is. So you select. Cool. So now they're saying you should have at least one text area element that is a descendant of survey form. So let's just try a text area that is descendant. So probably could do this, but yeah, so there's a text area, and I will have placeholder equals. No, wait, hold on. This area placeholder equals enter text dot dot dot. And then I will do that, and then I'll do hi or text area, close of text area. So interesting that. Oh, is that because I was trying to type? Yeah, that's it. Because I haven't typed text. Yeah. So let's see. Inside, yeah, default you are presented with text area for additional comments. Inside the form element, you can select. Inside the form element, you are presented with a button with ID of submit to submit all the inputs. Let me just run all the tests again. You should have an input of a button element with an ID of submit. Your submit should have a type of submit, and your submit should be a descendant of server form. So we will do input. So we will do another. We'll just do another thing like this. Yeah. It's once you get like one format, you just basically copy and paste until you get the next. So it's like, and then we will call it submit label, submit ID, and type is, I think it's submit actually. Submit, if there is one. Maybe I'm doing it wrong. No, I think I'm doing it wrong. Hold on. So there was a submit. So input type submit, value submit. Gross. Yeah, here's the button. And then, so with an ID of submit, which I do. Yes, here we are. Your submit should have a type of submit. Yes, that's the type. And your submit should be a descendant, which it is. So hopefully that's all my tests.
Yay!
Hold on a second. I'm just going to download my solution quickly. Because I do want to actually work on it maybe slightly more. But yeah, that's if I just click out of here.
So yeah, don't leave, because I want to make a couple comments after you say whatever it is that you wanted to mention about your experience there.
Yeah, I mean, like the whole thing with myself is I always like to see certain rules and checks that I need to do. Sometimes I do read the user stories, and it's just trying to remember exactly what I maybe have had, or like like what I have used. Trying to get things in order, and it's a bit strange because it's like it has all these tests and everything like that, but really if I look at this, it's not really the survey form that they present. So it's just like as you go through the test and you do complete that, I think one of the important things is this is just free code camp that you can use, but they're just expanding yourself to, bring about what you may want to bring about. So
Right.
that's kind of like the experience with me. I mean, I'm a big believer that, it's like with I don't like tests which are like just all memory based. I am I am a problem solver. I will Google anything out of anything to try and figure out the solution to it. So I think that's the main thing. Just don't rely. Just I guess when you're trying to do it, don't always rely on like memory or something like that and just panic that you can't do it, because that's not how it works in the real
Right.
world. In the real world, people ask you a task, you go, oh, okay, let me just do that. But while you're doing it, you basically Google, you don't remember every single bit of code but by your heart, because that doesn't happen.
Right.
That's not how
No,
you
it
work
doesn't.
in the real world. So
Yeah, you have to have your confidence is going to be your belief in your ability to figure things out. So that's
yeah.
what I just have that phrase. It goes through my mind whenever I get some kind of an assignment or some kind of task that I've never done before, or I feel it seems so enormous or something so esoteric that I'm just like, oh my goodness, how to do that. It's that belief in your ability to figure it out. You take one step at a time and you go from there. What's the next question? Answer that. Okay, now that I've done this, what's my next question? Answer that and keep going. So I totally agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
So as you went through here, just a couple pointers for, I know that you're not going to be developing a career or building a career on software development necessarily, but for those who are listening who might be, it's very good to get into the habit of structuring your code. That's why I kind of mentioned that ahead of time, because when you structure it for readability as you go, you're able to see, sometimes it jumps out at you because the structure doesn't look quite right, or it doesn't, this thing that is supposed to be the same thing as this other thing, the structure is different, something maybe a little off. So all I would say there is that when you're nesting things or you have descendants of things, try to indent those, at the same level as other things that should be indented in the same way. So down here towards the bottom of your code, it's all kind of blocked. And you can't really tell, and you have basically you're just wrapping. So if you would just maybe take a second and structure it a little differently so the audience can see what the difference looks like. It just helps. It's totally for readability. As you could see, everything passed. The computer, the compiler doesn't care if it's just wrap. But some human who needs to come here a year later and edit and update your code,
Yeah.
you want to see, okay, very clearly, very quickly where things are, what's nested inside of something else, and you can do that with readability.
I have that thing with Terraform as well. So like basically there's a million ways you can do Terraform, and you can write it in such a way that it'll do it. But human readable code, I think that's the main concept, because it's like the machine, the engine is going to, you just need to know what rules it ignores. Like for example HTML, and I know like Terraform can ignore spaces and enters, while like for example if I was going to use YAML pipelines, spaces and enters are very critical where you place that.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of understanding the language that you're using and structuring it in such a way so people can read it. I mean, for example, as well, like I would, if I was actually writing this, I would put in some comments as well. I like, for example, this is a label that does this. And I would not only just describe what that is, but I will also describe why we put that in, because I think that's like most of the developers can figure out what it may be, but the why it just might get lost. So
correct. That's a good point. Yeah, your why is important there. The later on, and if you read books like Clean Code, some of those types of books like that, they would say try to use as few comments as possible, and instead of commenting, label things properly, because the better your labels are, the fewer comments you're going to need. But the why may be something that you might want to add in a comment if it's not clear why.
Yeah.
So like going back here to check out your select statement there, and structure that according to, which is up, right around in there. Go ahead and restructure that so that, you've got your label, which is on the outside, and then the select is nested in that. And then your options are nested in that. Now let's see what you have there. What do you notice right away?
I'm missing a select.
You're missing it, but you notice that accepted it. But if you were to move this file into an environment that had strict declared, it would fail. And so one thing I was going to mention is that as you are doing your writing and you write a tag or an opening something and it requires a closing, go ahead and write that closing right away. So if you were to write, like, for example, your select, do your select, go ahead and write your closing select, hit enter, and then it's going to be, and then do your nesting of your options. So open, immediately close it, then go back and put your stuff in the middle. And if you get in that habit, you're very less likely to forget a closing tag. So, yeah. And that's another thing you see very clearly right away when you're missing things, when it's structured.
Yeah.
But you did really well. I mean, I heard you talking out loud. Also, that's a good thing. You were talking out loud with things. Now, if we were pair programming, you get in the habit of talking out loud, again, because you hear yourself when you speak out loud, and it's like you having a little conversation with yourself, but as if you're all quiet and everything, it's not as helpful. But again, also when you're pairing, your pair partner can understand what your thought process is and follow you and add the comments and helpful when necessary.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I had pair partners when coding. They necessarily don't need me to call it out. They just need someone to basically hear them. But they will usually figure stuff out by themselves. But it's just that coding when you're pair programming, that they need someone sometimes just to explain the process, what they've been going through. And sometimes they're not actually explaining to you, they're just trying to make it clear to themselves. And then it makes sense. So
right. Half the time, if somebody needs help with something, can you come in here and help me? And they're talking through it and they figure it out themselves because somebody else is listening. That's called the rubber ducking method. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but people you see little rubber duckies sitting on engineers' desks, and so if they need somebody to talk to, they're going to tell that a rubber ducky what it is, and that rubber ducky will help them figure it out, because it's just the process of speaking it out loud, just like what you said. Okay, well, those are the really two major things I was going to mention. Everything else you did really well, and kudos.
Cool.
One down.
One down, yeah, exactly. So is it fine to submit like this, or should we try and make it a little bit nicer?
It's fine for me. I mean, because the purpose of this, the objective of this was to complete the thing. If you want to make it nicer, we certainly can do that, but it's up to you.
Yeah, I mean, let's see. What have we got? Well, what we might do is because I've downloaded my solution. What I'm actually gonna do in the background, maybe not now. I think we can close it off now. But what I might try and do is just create a survey form for myself, host it up on a solution on Azure, probably somewhere, as a static web page, and then see what I can grab from there. In fact, I might even use it for a feedback or something like that. So, I'll try and figure something out with it.
Perfect. And later, certainly using something like this is a good experience when you come to work on an Adapt Labs product team. You'll be utilizing this type of thing all day long and then some. So just depends on how much time you have and what you want to be doing. And this is the next thing, isn't it? This is the next thing we're
I
going to be
think
working
so,
on.
yeah. So we've finished the certification project, so we've done the test. Then we have so basically the next bit is this section, which again we think it's going to take around 5 weeks. So we try and code each model, but for a session. So that should hopefully last. Yeah, well, this is the next bit, and I think it's going to get a slightly more advanced now. So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I think one of the main things is just to practice more and more, and as much as you practice, you will start remembering certain things and just ways of working, and it's like someone who's started like just learning, like I've come from a very infrastructure background, so and a PowerShell and all of this kind of stuff. I've tried to learn Ruby and Python on the side, but it's not like so but what I've learned is that it's like whatever code you're using or whatever, that doesn't really matter that much. It's more about using the practices, and that actually helps, I think, a lot, because once you know like how to code in one particular language, then it becomes easier with a lot of others. So
correct. Yes.
Found in my days. So,
yes.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, this was a fun session, and we'll end it short, but we'll pick it up next week.
Okay. Good job.
Okay.
See you guys next time.
See you next time.